Welcome, everyone. So my name is Dr. Lorin Roche, and I've been lucky enough to be teaching meditation for the last 50 years or so, since 1969. And it is always a privilege to share the adventure with other people who are on this path of inquiry and what the hell is going on inside my heart and my mind and in my body? What the hell is going on in the outer world? And how do I move through this world and keep myself intact, keep my soul intact, realize my purposes for coming here in the first place? And meditation, as we know, it is an incredible tool of discovery. It's not just a way of accessing your internal compass and seeing like where, but there's many maps we can use. Like, okay, you're here, and there's images of what the inner universe is. And of course, many of the maps are of other countries where you aren't. So you're looking at the map and there's just a swamp there, and I go, I don't feel any swamps. Or there's a mountain. It's like, well, my mountain's over there. There's maps, and meditation is also a way of accessing our inner power sources. So there's the compass, our internal guidance. There's the many different maps, which we have to assess. Like, well, what country am I in? We have to find the right map, and meditation is a way of accessing our power source. And let's talk about all this as a form of play. Play is an instinct, and human beings have many, many instincts. And mammals play. Dogs play, horses play, cows play, cats, people, children. And it's not just children who play. Play is a form of engagement with the world and in the inner world in which we become absorbed in a flow. Play is sensory. We're exploring and we're engaging, and we can become absorbed in the flow, like in a game or a video game, and lose track of time. And these are the characteristics of deep meditation. So let's abandon this idea of inappropriate seriousness and set ourselves free to engage in our inner world in the spirit of play. For sometimes we're witnessing the play of emotion, the play of thoughts, the play of deep feelings, the play of the chakras. And if you approach, for example, like your chakras as inner characters, or however you want to think of the source of all of your thoughts, there's all these as if inner people. You could call them instincts: hunting, homing, bonding, mating, or hooking up, homing, finding your way home, being at home in your body, in your life, in the world, making a home, having friends, forming teams. These are all things we do in the outer world and in the inner world. And the flow of thoughts comes from our relatedness, the way that our life force, which represented by the chakras or by the inner people or by the instincts, is flowing and engaging with the outer world. And we can witness this as a play, as in a theater, as a movie, as a TV show, and as energy. So play is an instinct. in the world that meditation traditions have come from, there's rich stories of mythology. So everyone would know all of the stories, whether it's the Mahabharata or different Buddhist stories. So there's many characters, and the so-called masters were often complete mischief makers. They were like some Buddhist saint might have been a womanizer using magic to seduce the king's harem. And then when he got busted, he said, okay, I'll become a monk. Instead of being executed, said, okay, I give up. I'll take a vow of celibacy and go off and be a monk. So everyone knew all these stories of mischief. They were like what we have today in superhero movies, like Marvel characters. And in those cultural contexts, everybody knew all of these stories. So there would be a sense of mischief in any practice. And Westerners often take this whole thing way too seriously. Whereas we can think about what we're doing sometimes as a form of costume play, like Halloween, putting on, okay, yeah, I'm a Hindu monk, or yeah, I'm an initiate of this secret tradition. This doesn't take away at all from the amazing impact of the wisdom traditions. It gives us a place to stand. For as we engage with our inner life and with the wisdom traditions, it's important that we own ourselves. Like, this is mine. This is my tradition. This is my teaching. This is my technique. And this is my meditation. And the more that you customize your meditation practice to fit you, to be like your favorite old pair of jeans, or some to hell with whoever t-shirt, or your ripped t-shirt, or some colored hair, whatever you want to do, the more that you customize meditation to fit your own mischief, to fit your sense of play, the better. So, like, let's look at where Buddhism has gone. Say Buddhism is just one form, one giant river of the meditation traditions. And within Buddhism, there's thousands of different traditions. And so as Buddhism has gone around the world to different countries, people have customized it. So there's Nepalese style Buddhism, and Cambodian and Thai Buddhism, American Buddhism, and California Buddhism. And Australia has a significant Buddhist population. I think it's about 2.7%. I sorted the Buddhist populations by percentage. And yeah, Australia is 2.7%, I think, of the Australian population identifies as Buddhist. Now, not everybody who identifies as Buddhist meditates, but there's a flavor that each country develops. As, say, in this example, there's Buddhism, and they flavor the Dharma in a style that fits in with that culture. And of course, there's actually many, say within Cambodia, there might be many styles of Buddhism. And so your job is to develop Australian Dharma. And whether you're Hindu or Buddhist or atheist or Taoist or indigenous Aboriginal meditations, it's always the job of the teachers to say, okay, what works here on this land with these people? Because the practices are always to be adapted to the bodies, the hearts, the minds. of the people who are present. Now, let's think about a succinct definition of meditation. And here I just want to put this down as a challenge for you to think about. Let's consider for a moment meditation as a set of practices for falling in love with the life force. Now in Sanskrit, there's this beautiful phrase, prana shakti, where they both mean energy and power. Prana is the life force, more specifically connected to the breathing, to the breath, and also soul. And Shakti is more universal. It's the power of creativity, the power of creation. And we can think of meditation as having an affair, like a dangerous affair, a flirtation with the life force. Now, why do I say that? Well, think about what's breathing. Breathing is more intimate than sex. When we breathe, we absorb energy in the form of oxygen, liberated oxygen from the ocean of air surrounding the earth. It comes into our body and goes into every cell, giving us life. And we do this 20, 22, 24,000 times a day. So each of your trillions of cells is continually participating in this dance of absorbing the life force that comes from the whole planet, because it takes the whole planet with all these oceans to continually be absorbing carbon dioxide, absorbing sunlight, and using the energy in the sunlight to liberate oxygen molecules, O2, from the CO2, and then give it back to this ocean of air surrounding us. And then with every breath we breathe in, we're breathing in the sun and all the oceans of the earth. It's a dynamic, creative, mysterious, amazing process. And the more sensual you are with the breathing, the more in wonder you are with the breathing, the better. So let's review what I just said, all these outrageous statements. So I'm proposing that meditation is a form of play, and that if you approach meditation in this way, you're more likely to activate your internal guidance systems, because there are many, many ways to get lost in meditation. I've experienced all of them over the last 50 some years. And we need our inner guidance system. I'm saying that we can think of meditation as a set of practices for being in love with the life force itself, for cultivating an intimate relationship with the very forces that keep us alive. And for the breathing, for example, breath is what's keeping us alive among everything else. And when we know that in every cell, breathing is thrilling. Breathing is riveting. It's a thriller movie. If you want to really be engaged, notice that you're breathing and approach it in this way. So it's a love affair. And when we're in love, at some point, we want to move in together. We want to make a home together. So when you're truly at home with yourself, that's when you're owning your meditation practice, and you need to own your practice in order to actually get the benefits from it. Now, when we're meditating, part of the time we're dreaming. Dreaming is an important function for the brain. And when you let yourself alone, part of the time in meditation, you'll be dreaming. And if you take a playful attitude, then you won't waste years of your life scolding yourself by trying to get rid of thoughts. Play leads to deep absorption. And when we're playing and letting ourselves be our natural self, we're more likely to get engaged in delightful flow of the meditative process. And meditation is sensual. Now, some things that have gotten lost along the way, we're all supposed to know, anyone fooling around with meditation is supposed to know that there's these 4 foundations, like kama, which is sensual pleasure. You can evaluate your meditation practice by how is it dialing up your capacity to enjoy life. Because meditating, whether you're breathing, doing japa, doing mindfulness, mantras, kundalini, whatever practice you're doing, will enhance your senses and your ability to enjoy every little tiny thing in life. Another quality is called moksha. It's about freedom, liberation, and we each have our own definition. And artha, the ability to make money or have abundance, feel afloat, be able to do your work in the world and be rewarded. And dharma, the ability, the support from inside so that you can fulfill your dharma, your destiny, your duties here in the world. And of course, all these Sanskrit words have vast meaning. So you can evaluate the fruits of your meditation practice by how is it supporting you in your personal mix of kama, sensual pleasure, erotic love, just the pleasure of being alive, moksha, your freedom, your ability to work and support yourself, and that sense of duty, honor, nobility. So here's a way of engaging with meditation. There's lots of ways to get stuck, lots of dangers in meditation because we're really changing the mix of our senses and where our attention goes. And there's a tendency for meditation organizations to become creepy cults, as we all know. And this comes from people taking themselves too seriously. So, so my text has been the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, which I created a version of it called the Radiance Sutras. And the text itself is very playful. Sanskrit being a constructed language, in a sense, it was engineered by the early explorers to be able to carry multiple levels of meaning simultaneously. So a Sanskrit word might have something to do with sex, something to do with the bodily function, something to do with yoga, and something to do with one of the gods or goddesses, and something to do with the craft skill all together. Like a lot of yoga words are like that. And so it makes multiple puns possible. And if you know the layers of meaning, it's just full of jokes. So the humor has gotten lost in translation. And over the years, as I track people who have a lighthearted, playful approach to their meditation, and I like to track people for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they do better. And when I've taken myself seriously, it's when I look back, I realized, I was really setting myself up to be trapped somewhere. So fare forward, Australians, the world needs you. And in all of the different forms of meditation that you're practicing, whether it's from Qigong, Tai Chi, different forms of Hinduism, yoga meditation, different forms of Buddhist meditation, scientific meditation, the world needs you to develop fearless Australian, sassy, irreverent meditations, all those characteristics that we all love in Australians. So go forth and invent. So I wanted to mention that over the last half century, I spent quite a bit of time, at least several hours a day, communing with the teachings of the lineage that I'm in, which is actually several lineages related to yoga, meditation, and sometimes in person, sometimes with the student of a student of a student of the, and my experience is these people are the most lighthearted beings I've ever encountered. They're so full of joy and humor and playfulness. So consider this, and because the spirit of play, it's a bit like a lubricant, like with a machine or a door. It helps things glide. We might be playful for a moment when we approach meditation, and then we start crying, start laughing, get mad, get restless. We'll orbit through the whole series of emotions. And in the Sanskrit tradition, it's the rasa, the play of rasa, that we're witnessing a whole series of emotions, because it's just tonalities that the life force takes on. When you're experiencing your own inner life, you want to always be aware of and awake to the blessing that can come from anger, say, standing your ground and defending your boundaries, of humor, of erotic energy, whether it's for your mate or for your relationships, or a light flow of delightful joy just at looking at a painting or listening to a piece of music. Sorrow is important. Disgust is important, to know, no, that's disgusting. That person is disgusting. Terror is important, because everything great, everything wonderful is also terrifying. Having a baby, getting married, going on a big journey, jumping into the ocean and taking a long swim. All of the wonderful things have a quality of terror and wonder and amazement. So when we go inside, we want to be open to the play of the emotional tones, that any tone that our own life force takes. And the more freedom we give for the free play of the shape of prana, whatever shape our life force is taking, the more that it can mix and remix and flow. And we wind up just in a flow of vitality. So here's a sutra that I love from one of the meditation traditions. Come laughing, come singing, come dancing, come whispering prayers. And to continue, it'd become crying, come exhausted, come defeated, come aching, come worried about the fires, come worried about the environment, come bleeding with compassion, come angry. I want to come as your natural self and seize this moment. Grab the vitality from meditation. And keep in mind that for the first time in history, meditation is mostly practiced in democracies, and we're still figuring out how democracies work, rather than just having a king who dictates how everything goes. So in the past, the meditation traditions were all dictatorial societies, hierarchical societies. So we're in the middle of an ongoing revolution, and we have to revise meditation to fit into this. Also, for the first time in history that we know about, meditation and yoga are primarily a female activity. The proportion has been between 60, 70, 80% women for the whole time that I've been involved, which is since 1968. And women are the power, the Shakti, the creativity to powering this whole worldwide revolution of meditation, where meditation has become completely mainstream in the modern West. So that's another one of our chores, is to deconstruct the master-slave relationship that characterizes the meditation traditions, make it more democratic, and also make sure that in every way meditation is female friendly and is not a betrayal of the self. And of course, we know that there's not just male and female. In fact, the meditation traditions have for thousands of years been a place where people who are not binary and who aren't really into this whole let's get married and have kids thing or have a job, that's been a place for them to go. And that's been kind of secret, so we don't actually know how they did it. And so we want to further unfold the language and the teachings of meditation to make sure that it's not subtly oppressive in the language and the conceptions and the maps. And I wanted to end by like just think about ketchup. I love ketchup. And if you could look up the story for yourself, I recall it was Chinese, it was a Chinese fish sauce, something like that. And then, and I forget where, I think didn't tomatoes come from South America? And then that got mixed and then probably wound up in Italy. Now we all use it. So it took the whole world to produce ketchup. Pizza is the same thing. Pizza was some Italian immigrants in New York started cranking out pizza, which the Italians didn't know about. And then when American tourists started going to Italy, they asked for pizza. The Italians would call their cousin back in New York, say, "What's this pizza thing the Americans are asking for?" And they would give them the formula. So cultures mix and remix and improve things. This is going on in meditation. And so do your part in the mixing and remixing. The authentic meditation tradition, whatever your tradition is the one that works for you. That's what your authentic Dharma is. It's the one that in you produces kama, that is the delight of just existing, moksha, your internal freedom. Dharma, it supports you in the work of making a living, living in abundance, and dharma, that you live with honor and you fulfill your purpose in coming here. And it's a privilege every moment that we breathe the air of this amazing planet. It's an honor. It's a privilege. We're participating in the life of the universe. Thank you.